welcome to another episode of Series C Growthonomics. Today, we want to continue our conversation on experimentation that we started last time. Today specifically, I'm going to talk about what not to do in experimentation, why experiments fail. So, there are lots of reasons why experiments fail, but I'm going to talk about top 5 today and what not to do when you're running an experiment. So let's talk about an app. Let's talk about a dating app. And let's say the dating app is a freemium app, like most apps are, where you can go in and look at profiles and choose to match with it and then go out and date. So in our example, let's say this app when it requires a new person, it asks 10 questions to your zip code and so on and so forth, your gender, your proclivity, and so on, to build a matching recommendation for you. Now, in our case, let's say a product manager who's responsible for matching comes up with the hypothesis that let's ask one more question, 11th question to them about their birth month, so that we can put that in the profile and match it this way, like Aquarius with Capricorn or whatever. So let's say he comes up with that hypothesis and launch a test with this hypothesis. What are your thoughts? Do you think you're going to get good results with a hypothesis like this? Is this a strong hypothesis? Anyways, so this test gets launched and we don't get results back. I mean, there's no difference between the recommendation system built with the 10 question versus 11th question showing the birth month, or using that as a matching criteria did not show any result. And this is one example why what not to do. So I would say what not to do. One of the first things what not to do is go in with a weak hypothesis. Do not launch tests with weak hypotheses. If your stakeholders don't believe in this hypothesis, and you're just thinking, oh, maybe I'll just get a directional results before I do 3 other big changes to the profile, test the big changes first, or do a full factorial, change many things together. But a weak hypothesis going in will likely not give you results, and you would have wasted dev hours, design hours, and so many other things. So that's one thing which not to do. Another thing, let's say this test was launched, and what happened was because the algorithm was tightened, the match rate improved. So the match rate as a metric went up, but because the match rate was more accurate, less number of people found matching, and therefore the profile views drop down. And so when you come back and ask did this experiment work, the answer is, I don't know. These things went up, these things went down. I don't know whether this experiment is successful or not. This happens because you went into an experiment without a clear success metric. So the second thing, what not to do, was do not go in without clearly defined success metric. No success metric or metrics. Sometimes you have more than one, maybe two. 2 is the maximum I would recommend, and you have to design for both of them. Without clear success metric, you will not know whether this experiment, you're not set up for success to know whether this experiment is successful or not, which basically means you have to be thoughtful about really thinking about, if I have this hypothesis, what metric truly I want to influence. And many times people think about, hey, this is a complex test. Some things will go up and some things will go down. How do I test it? Well, create a combined. It's always possible to create a combined metric that very clearly you want to influence to go up or you want to influence to go down. And sometimes people also talk about, hey, my metric is longer term horizon. It's a 90-day retention. Or a 90-day engagement or a 90-day trial rate. How do I measure that if I'm going to run this experiment for 6 days? There's always way in which you would do a forecasting. You'll measure it at day 7 and forecast it out to day 90 and see whether that delta gets you the result or not. So there's always way to build very strong and clear success metric. But if you go and launch a test without clear success metric, you are unlikely to get a successful experiment. Number 3, let's say, like I was talking about in this experiment, which let's say it's a successful, the match rate went up, the engagement, the number of profile views went down, and because in the free app you only have 2 incremental profiles beyond the matching that you can actually view. When people were coming in on daily basis, they saw less profiles and they didn't find enough match, so then they dropped out of the app. They didn't come back to use it. So your DAO, daily active user, goes down and your other metrics go down, and you didn't think about it before as you went in. So do not go into a test without doing proper risk assessment. It's very, very important to do proper risk assessment. If you do not do a risk assessment, you are likely going to have results that you'll be surprised by. And then number 4 is, many times people think, oh, I'm launching a test, I'm going to start a calculator, use the online calculator and run with that. The sample size calculation is only one aspect of experiment planning. There's a lot more that goes into it, including the success metric, including success criteria, effect size, so many other things that if you don't plan for it, you are not likely to get results. So I would say, do not go in with the online calculator as a sample size calculation and thinking that your experimentation planning is done. There's a lot more that goes into it. So that's all for us, these 4 things. If you make sure you do not go with weak hypotheses, not go in with no success metric, do the risk assessment, and don't just plan with an online calculator. There's a lot more that goes into it. Next time we'll talk about how to successfully run an experimentation.